the thumbnail, we're here to talk about the M24. But before we get into that, just got some notes to take care of. Make sure, as always, you're following me on Instagram at MadMaxGuns. I'll put that under here. And then if you feel like supporting me a little more, patreon.com/MadMaxGuns. It's a Patreon. There's going to be some extra stuff on there. I'm going to be doing a lot of like precision discussions on there with what I'm doing for hand loads for my precision rifles, stuff that it's more of a discussion piece rather than like content that can just be thrown out there, if that makes sense. But yeah, Instagram, Patreon, and as always, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube for obvious reasons. But let's get into it. So what I have here is a almost completely clone correct M24 sniper weapon system. They call it the SWS. The reason it's a sniper weapon system because it's not just a rifle, it's the whole thing coming together with the stock bipod that it uses and the scope. It came in a kit, like a deployment kit like you'd see with the SR25 deployment kits, the M110s. But the way I got it, it was just a rifle. I had to piece everything else together. But a little history on it. It got adopted by the Army in 1988, and they're still produced now, but you can actually get them on the civilian market. There are superior rifles to it, just like any other clone, but it's just pretty cool to have. It's a little weird because it's a long action 308, and I'll get into why they did that in a little bit, but it was still used by the Army. In 2014, the last one was converted to an M2010, but there's a couple different variants. The XM24 Alpha 1 was one that never actually got adopted. There was a 300 Win Mag, pretty much the same thing, just 300 Win Mag. They didn't want to adopt it because ammo, the 300 Win Mag round that they were going to use at the time was unstable, and they had a hard time actually getting a hold of it. Later on with the 2010, they had actual ammo tailored to the gun, so it wasn't an issue with the 300 Win Mag. They had the M24 Alpha 2, which added a detachable box magazine, the Mars rail that probably seen a lot of people on Instagram recently selling those. For some reason they just became heavily available. They made the barrel able to accept a suppressor, and then they also improved the stock. As you can see here, I have a jerry-rigged cheek cone thing. They added a different HS Precision, same brand stock, they just had adjustable cheek cone. Then the Alpha 3 came. That was a 338 Lapua, so they took these, rechambered it into 338 Lapua, added a beefier loophole Mark IV stock. It was 8.5 to 25, I believe. Other than that, they just added a stock with adjustable cone height, but it was pretty much the same idea as this, just with a heavy boy round. And then the M24E1 is what eventually turned into the M2010. The only thing that was the same on it was the action. They added a Remington Arms chassis, they rebarreled it with a 300 Win Mag, a little bit shorter of a barrel. Came with this one also came with the whole system, suppressor, new scope, new trigger, new bottom metal for accepting magazines. The whole thing was redone, and that's what the primary sniper rifle is for the Army right now, until they fully switch over to the Mark 22, which is 300 normal Magnum, 338 normal Magnum, and 308 Winchester. You can swap the barrels out on it, but I probably never do a video on it because that's just gonna be expensive as fuck. Weird ammo, the whole thing is just, if you can get one and get the ammo for it, good on you. Just too rich for my blood. But back to this guy. It's an HS Precision stock with the adjustable length of pull here. It has a 24-inch really heavy contour barrel. It's a long action, like I said before. It has a 5-round internal magazine, which is a little bit bigger than the typical Remington 308 internal magazines. Those are usually a 4-rounder. I don't know if you saw the videos I did a while back on my Remington 700 police model, which was pretty much just like a bootleg version of this. It had a HS Precision stock. It didn't have an adjustable cone length. It had a kind of a heavy barrel and had a 4-round internal magazine. with a 22-inch barrel. This is a 24-inch barrel. Up top, this is going to be a little bit, I don't want to say divisive, but maybe controversial. This is a Mark IV fixed 10 power by 40 millimeter scope. It has, I don't, like the Army was weird, I don't know, the Mark 12 video I did with the one that's hanging behind me, they did the same thing with all the Mark IV scopes that the Army adopted. It has a milled out reticle and then MOA adjustments, so they just have to fuck your mind if you want to fucking dial and hold over at the same time. It's flawed system. Everything is far superior that they put out now. Almost every company is far superior. The glass is still great in this. The adjustments are fine, but like the combination of MOA and mill is just dumb. But this one has M1 knobs on it. I don't know if you can see here. It's a little bit higher off, and they're exposed knobs. And these were also issued with the ones with M3 knobs. They're covered turrets, and they're just flatter, more slimline looking. I would understand why you'd want the covered turrets, because if you're trekking this around in the desert or whatever, you bump something, you don't want to lose your zero. But they were also issued with the M1 knobs at some point in time. For rings, these are the rings that came with the scope. I don't have the Badger Ordnance rings that I should. I haven't had any issues with this. I'm not gentle with the gun, so I haven't lost a zero yet. It's not something I'm terribly worried about, but I'm going to eventually get the Badger Ordnance rings on here just because they're tougher, and you know, if you're gonna clone something, you should probably just do it right, which I tend to not do. But we'll get there. Right here, I just got a little US Optics bubble level just for shooting out to long range with it. It helps to be level. The Mark IV here, I'm not going to do a whole video on it, so I'm just going to touch on it lightly right here. It does have a parallax adjustment, but back in the day they just called it a focus knob. It came with a little sunshade, or I'm sorry, it came with a honeycomb and a cap on it. If you're just out there shooting on the range, having the honeycomb on there is kind of dumb, but if you're expecting return fire, I would keep the honeycomb on. That took way longer than it should. But the trigger on this, very crisp. Pretty sure it is adjustable. I haven't touched it since I got it just because laziness maybe. But it's below a 3-pound trigger for sure. It's probably around 1.5. I don't have like a Lyman trigger puller gauge to check it, but it's a typical Remington 700 action, very smooth. It's just a long action. I'm gonna throw a little snap cap in there. The trigger, if you can see it, pull. There's no creep. It's just you're at a wall. Boom. Do it again. Boom. And yeah, it's a good trigger. It's not like a Trigger Tech or Diamond or Timney or anything like that. It's just a good like military trigger. It's not like a PRS trigger or anything like that. These were also issued with the Harris 9-13s. They're issued with both, ones that had cannon and without. The one thing that this is lacking, aside from the rings, that can be that's going to get taken care of, it's missing the front sight here. These were issued with a front iron sight. Some you could put a rear iron sight on it as well. These were issued with backup iron sights. I mean, not that they're very usable. I mean, they are, but they're not as. There's just like a little beat up front and a little peep sight in the back. But this, when I bought it, I got it at an auction. It came with a bunch of stuff that was not period correct for it at all. It was just like a Weaver scope and some bullshit ass bipod in the front, but it didn't have the front sight post on it, and that's something that I'm probably not going to deal with, because from what I'm told, most guys that are issued these got rid of that anyway. But that's pretty much the spec rundown of this. My experience started out as a rough one. First thing I did when I got it painted it, obviously, just because paint everything. When I first got it, I didn't bother cleaning it, so like I would take it out to the range and I would shoot it with like a bunch of actual precision rounds. M118 LR, what this was created with, hand in hand, kind of like the Mark 12 back there and the Mark 262 were created together. I had a bunch of surplus M118 LR and it just wasn't like, I couldn't get better than like 1.5 inches. Sometimes I'd get 1 inch. I would try Gorilla ammunition, everything I could get with 175 Sierra Match Kings in it, because that's what this gun was made for, and I really couldn't, you know, get it to group the way it should. The Army, its standard for it was like 0.8 MOA, and I wasn't seeing that consistently out of anything. And then this goes to my next point of, I was kind of an asshole before when it came to cleaning guns. I would never clean the barrel. Like with my precision guns, I was always told you don't want to strip the copper or anything of it, and maybe clean it every 500 to 1,000 rounds. But with this, I obviously didn't know the round count because I bought it at auction. I went through and stripped the whole thing and did like a full-on cleaning the tube, and I took it out to the range. Next thing I know, with Federal Gold Medal Match 175s, a bug hole in like 5-shot group, and it was shooting half MOA with that stuff. The 168s, it was shooting a little like 0.6, 0.7 MOA, and then I got some burger ammo. The first stuff I put through it, actually all of it was 185s juggernauts, but some of it was the open tip, some of it was the hybrid long range, so it had a little bit longer of a cartridge overall length instead of a 2.8, which is typical for 308. There's like a 2.92 inch overall length, and that stuff, if I can find the picture of the group, I'll put it on there, but it was literally a raggedy bug hole, so it was like a 0.18 MOA group with 5 rounds. So for what it's worth, if your gun's not shooting good, try cleaning it. Might do something for it. But for a while, I was only able to shoot 100-yard groups with it, and then finally 2 weeks ago, I took it out to my longer range. It was a little bit cold, but I was pushing out to 700 yards very consistently, and this was all shooting with 185, the 185 burgers, because I'm fire foreman, the Lapua brass that comes with. I'm going to start doing some load development with that brass with 175s. I'm not going to go too much into the hand loading stuff, but I will talk about it on Patreon, like I said before. But overall, like, this is a very cool gun to have. You can buy them new. The only place I see them in stock is Euro Optic, but they're a little on the pricey side. If you're not going to buy this and then like throw the right optic on it, I would go in a different direction. For what you're paying for this, you can get like a very nice bolt action gun, and then this optic for fixed 10 power, you're going to be paying well over $1,000. And I just think unless you're looking to like have a clone gun, there's way better ways to spend your money on bolt action 308. That is it, guys. M24 sniper weapon system. The GWAT Army sniper rifle. Touch on this briefly. You guys might have seen like M40s from the Marine Corps. They're very similar, but not the same. The M40s, I believe, they're already up to like their 6th or 7th iteration, but they're all short action 308s. They start going to chassis and stuff like this did, but they're all short action 308s. This was a long action 308, which again, the whole reason they did that is so they could chamber it up to something big with like the 308 Lapua and the 300 Win Mag. But that is all. If you have any questions on this, make sure you drop them in the comments. Share this video to your friends. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, if you didn't like the video, eat a dick. Follow me on Patreon and follow me on Instagram and all that good stuff. The website's coming soon. Merch is coming soon. We're working on it. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.